you. I like you. We should be friends. And we're back with another podcast. Guys, it's Tuesday. Yes, sirree. You didn't see anything there. We're happy to be here. Yes, we are live, and it is Tuesday. We're right on time as usual, just 2 minutes late. It's gonna be a beautiful day. Great podcast. Tim is not available. Goodness. Wait, is that here? Did I hear something? Oh, Tim, you're here. I didn't even get to make up something stupid for some silly reason why you weren't here yet. I was just gonna say
I'm not gonna let you do that.
I couldn't think of anything funny off the top of my head. I was gonna say something stupid like you got all your teeth pulled because I couldn't think of a good reason. I ran out of funnies. I'm over here playing with toys and. It's not a good day, Tim. It's not.
Well, it's a wonderful day. Another day above ground is just a great day.
Another day, another quarter is what they say, right? No, I think it's another dollar, but thanks for correcting me, Tim.
I said nothing.
I say nothing. Nothing at all. So what's new?
Well, it's mid-June, and I am gearing up for a big event for myself and my band. June 27th, we have an album release party in Madison, Indiana. And you're going to be there.
You sure it's not a 3rd June?
A 3rd June.
Yeah, it's the 10th, so it's 3rd of the June.
Okay,
that's it. My last dad joke for the day. I got the roll of the eyes from Tim. That's it. I'm cut off.
Okay, technically, maybe it's not quite mid-June.
No, yeah, we're going to Madison. Exciting.
Yeah, we're going to Madison. Yeah, and so if anybody's not far from Madison, Indiana, come on out. We're going to be at the Red Bicycle Hall and going to film it and record it and hoping to put it out as a live album. My producer will be there. Seth will be there.
Yeah, and come on in. All travel costs will be reimbursed with a firm handshake. Well worth it.
If you get to meet the funniest man in Nashville, it's worth it just for that. Seth will be there. He'll be at the merch table. He'll be milling around, making his presence known. And that might be the highlight of the entire evening.
You know what? You know who's going to be freaking out while we're in Madison, right? The funniest guy in Madison. He's going to be on his toes. He's going to be freaking out.
Wherever that might be.
Wherever he might be. He's gonna hear I'm coming. He's going to be freaking out.
Going to be intimidated. Nashville's a bigger city, so if he's the funniest man in Nashville, he must be really funny. And he's going to take my crown of funniest man in Madison. That's what he's thinking. Yeah. So Red Bicycle Hall. And it's a great little venue, about 180, 200 cap people. And really looking forward to it. My best friend, Jimmy Davis in the Mercury 7 will be playing also on the bill. He lives in Madison. Everybody knows him as probably the leading musician in Madison, Indiana. And Indiana's Music City, in Madison, Indiana. And so that album will be dropping on the 26th. No, the 27th. Yeah, it'll be dropping on the 27th. So that's the day we have the event. And then I'm working on another album that's going to be dropping August 8th. So I'm dropping albums like flies here. So that album will be.
As you can see, Tim's been really lazy lately, and I've been trying to light a
Down and Under is that second next album. And this one that's going to be released on the 27th is Born in South Dakota, because I was born in South Dakota. Don't say I didn't warn you. There's a certain way we do things around here.
We haven't seen the birth certificate. As far as we know, it could be North Dakota, guys. We don't know. Hey, at least it didn't say Canada.
Well, yeah.
Um,
So that's what's going on in my life. I'm focusing on that, getting ready for that, and I've got a lot of albums that were this Born in South Dakota album was on pre-sale. And if you haven't gotten your copy yet, please, by all means, go to my website, Tim Wolf, and there'll be a link there. You can get it. You can get vinyl, you can get CDs, you can get downloads at a reduced price. It'll never be that cheap again after the album releases. And you can get the vinyl for $17, free shipping. The CD for $7.99, free shipping. And downloads, same, $7.99. So
with any purchase, you get a thumbs up from me.
Seth, thumbs up. It's worth it. Every penny.
Every penny.
So that's the end of my advertisement.
Tim Talk. That works well. There's a TED Talk and then there's a Tim Talk.
Tim Talk, yeah.
The Tim Talk. Yeah, well, hopefully we'll be have a late celebration in Indiana that they've won the championship when we get there.
Wow, that would be something.
That would be amazing.
Yeah.
Not going
NBA
too well right now. We'll do
well, it's tied 1-1.
And now
I mean,
for the sports corner.
Yeah, I mean they're tied 1-1.
Tied 1-1,
and they really stole game. You know, steal. You normally you steal a game in the visiting team.
Crazy shot,
and then you
beautiful shot.
Yeah, and
my gosh.
However, it seems like the momentum might have shifted back Oklahoma's way. We'll see. This next game is going to say it all. Oklahoma really confidently overwhelmed the Pacers and won game 2, whereas game 1, the Pacers didn't lead until there was 0.3 seconds left. They didn't lead for 47 minutes and 57 seconds in a 48-minute game. And no, not 3 seconds. Or was it? Yeah, it was 3 seconds, not 0.3. 3 seconds left, not 0.3. Yeah, it was 3 seconds left. So for 47 minutes, 57 seconds, Oklahoma led the game. And then Therese Halliburton made a shot, clutch shot, that put them ahead by 1 with 3 seconds left.
Mm-hmm.
And Oklahoma couldn't score in those last 3 seconds. And
0.3 seconds. Right?
Was it 0.3?
0.3 seconds.
Yeah, it was 0.3. Yeah, that's what I thought at first. Yeah, it was 0.3. It wasn't 3. It was 0.3.
Yep, that's what it was. An amazing shot. I mean, goodness.
Yeah. Right. I thought it was 0.3. Yes. So for 47 minutes, 59.7 seconds, Oklahoma led. And Indiana only led for the last 0.3 seconds.
And that's all it does.
It's insane. That's all it says. Yeah. When the clock goes to 0, not when the clock goes to 0.3, when the clock goes to 0, who's ahead is the winner. Which goes back to, I saw something, I mean, not to change the subject, but math. Did you studied math? Or you want to talk more about sports?
Math.
Let's get. I want to get to the math corner.
They didn't teach
eventually.
math at my school.
They didn't. So, any more in the sports corner?
Well, yeah, I got one more thing, but we can come back to it. It's a different
Okay,
sport.
so I was reading a thread. Now, one thing I've noticed now, I've got my engineering degree, and I had to take advanced calculus and differential equations, and the math requirements.
You use it all every day.
Yeah, right. The math requirements to get an engineering degree, are fairly stiff. Not probably as stiff as getting a math degree. And I keep seeing posts on threads of the order of operations, like you've got a multiplication and a division and then you've got stuff in brackets, and which do you do first? And it seems like the rules have changed since I was in college. I mean, you did what was in the parentheses first, and then you did the multiplication and division before you did the addition and subtraction. And these problems are listed on threads, and they're saying that it's the different answer than what I would have gotten based on the training I took from a 4-year engineering degree. And then I saw something yesterday that just made me shake my head. Anything divided by 0 equals what? If you divide something by 0.
I thought it was undefined or something. Usually,
so even they taught you undefined. They taught us infinity. It's not undefined. It's infinity.
Oh, really? Yeah.
So even when you were in school, it was taught it was undefined. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they were saying. It's undefined. Well, the reason they say it's infinity is you do your mathematical, you test out theory. So if you take anything divided by less than 1 makes the number bigger. And so the smaller the number that you divide by, the larger the resulting number. And if you divide by point with a million zeros and then 1, that's going to be a monstrous number. You keep finding a smaller number, and the resulting number gets bigger and bigger. So if you made a graph of it, it would be an asymptotic curve that would go towards try to approach infinity, because if you get a number that had a billion zeros and that point billion zeros and then 1, and you divided 1 divided by that, that would be a huge number. And so if you extend that out theoretically, infinity, if you divided by 0, that it would be infinity, because it keeps getting larger. The smaller the number is, the result gets larger. So by engineering theorem, that becomes infinity. That's what I was taught.
Teacher, can I have a pass to the bathroom?
But apparently I was interested. You were taught that it was undefined. Wow. That's interesting. How math can change. The answer to a math problem can change over time. That blows my mind. Do I need to go back to school?
I feel horrible right now.
What does 1 and 1 plus 1 equal? Has that changed?
Oh, it's still 2. I feel really bad right now.
No, don't. Why do you feel bad?
Because I don't give a shit. Sorry for that.
I mean, how can math problems?
Well, you know what's the crazy stuff is
change
how
like that.
They change the kind of math you use. They've got some of this weird math now they use where like they make the problems a lot longer and stuff. Like some of the stuff they teach these kids is just ridiculous. Whereas like I saw one kid just rant and raving, or just kind of, he wasn't ranting and raving, but he was just talking about how we weren't taught some of the simplest things. We weren't taught credit cards. We weren't taught budgeting very well. I think I had one little tiny class for that. We weren't taught we weren't taught anything about credit. Like all this things that we should be like doing.
Life skills.
Yeah, life skills. Like, I saw, and they're trying to get better at these things, and they need to. I mean, it needs to be self-applicated. There's so much stupid crap that I learned that nowadays I can just pick up my phone and Google it, and like in a quick second, that makes no difference on me knowing all these crazy different random things. There was one school that had like a bank in it. They had their own banking system there. I'm like, well, that's simple application. I mean, goodness, you work in that bank, you could easily get a job at a regular bank just in your experience there. And man, they took away all these all those programs back in high school. There was all the you could go while you were still in high school and take like plumbing classes and all this, and they stripped all that stuff away, trying to force everybody, I guess, to go to college or whatever. Like, and now there's literally a lack of plumbers, a lack of all these of regular maintenance, like car maintenance and repair and all that stuff, just because they took away all those classes and stuff, which is so stupid. And that's one of our biggest struggle. How much can you accomplish being? I mean, basically, school just creates 8 to 5 little cubicle people. That's what it was in a way. I mean, I never liked school, but anyways, I was going to say something to go along with that. But
that's interesting that you would say that.
So yeah,
because if you allow me 3 minutes, I want to go downstairs and get an article that I was reading, because it ties right into this. If you can fill the podcast.
I will fill the podcast. But yeah, it's I mean, there was somebody in my school. There was a real good friend of mine that didn't understand how to use a credit card. She didn't understand the concept of it. That they had interest, after the first 30 days, and then They have to pay it back. Like, she even had the crazy idea that there was like free money. She didn't understand how the credit card works, and we weren't taught credit cards in school. Uh, yeah, it's a bummer. It's a bummer. But how are you guys doing? I'm doing great. Um, Tim's coming back with this article. I'm curious what it has to say, but uh, that's the next thing we're gonna do for the next generation is to make them ready for the real world and have.
Well, I think you're talking about two different things in my take. Talking about life skills,
Life
basic life
skills.
skills. These are important. But there's a this is called the 10 warning signs. This is a guy I subscribed to. His name's Ted Goya. That's how you pronounce his name. He deep dive analytics into a lot of different things. He's a jazz musician, so a lot of it is music oriented, which I love. Now, Sly Stone died at 82. Big Sly Stone fan. If You Want Me to Stay is my favorite song by Sly Stone. It's got a killer bass line in it. Anyway, so he did a big story on Sly Stone. But he also talks about society. And he says the 10 warning signs. And he's talking about the biggest news in our country is happening right now, but it's never mentioned in the press. And he talks about how long, for example, before the Renaissance got mentioned in the town square, how long, when did newspapers start covering the Enlightenment, etc. And for example, the term Renaissance, Italian Renaissance in the 1600s, or the 16th century, 1500s, got introduced 200 years after the start of the Renaissance. So it takes a while for these big movements to get caught up. And this is what Ted calls the collapse of the knowledge system, kind of talking about knowledge. And he's saying that, and this might be controversial, and you might not agree with this, but he's saying the knowledge structure that has dominated everything for our entire lifetime and for our parents and grandparents is collapsing and is taking place everywhere at the same time. Number one, scientific studies don't replicate. Foundation of science is based on the trust that its claims can be replicated and validated, but we now see the opposite. 40% of published studies fail to replicate, and the fake studies get cited more often than the reliable ones. Number two, public distrust of experts has reached an intensity that's never seen before. And
that's a big one.
that is a big one. I mean, but just to distrust them because they're an expert, that's wrong, because we wouldn't, without the research that has been done and the discoveries that have been made. And I mean, research is not a bad thing. Science isn't a bad thing. But right now, those people that do the science are distrusted, and they're now there's a lot of bad science, but that is a new term. Even the term bad science he mentions is something that, I mean, science was, when I was in school, you were the sanctity of the science. I mean, if you were doing a research, we were taught that has to be, almost a religious experience. You have to make sure that it's repeatable, make sure they don't bias it. And it came with the premise of doing a scientific study, and it had to be replicated. I mean, serious stuff. I mean, there's been a lot of great discoveries. I mean, we wouldn't be having the internet. We wouldn't be talking on a microphone. We wouldn't have electricity if it wouldn't have been for research and some great scientific advancements. So those people, are respected, but our modern day equivalents of them, by and large, are not. And in fact, there was written about, Jose Ortega de Gasset wrote a book called The Revolt of the Masses in 2029. And he was talking about here, the only experts that still possess authority are blue-collar workers. The public still wants to hire the best plumber or car mechanic or hairstylist. That's what made me think of it when you were talking about that. You said, and there's not that many. Yeah, I mean, probably my buddy, his sons are like 16, 17, and they're thinking about, should they go to college or should they learn a trade? And it seems to me that in rapid succession, White collar work is not being valued, and it may not be able to be a sustainable career path because you end up with all these big college debts and you won't be able to repay them. So being a plumber, being somebody who works with your hands, that's still respected and still commands a high income. And you indicated there's
even
a
more
shortage
now because of the shortage.
even now
especially
because of
certain
the
areas.
shortage. And Ted says, and he's written about this before. He said, I could see that we finally reached a breaking point. Experts are now shunned and derided, even in their home turf and inside their gated communities. This may be the clearest indicator that the knowledge system is dying. I mean, when I went to engineering school, the professors were highly, highly regarded, highly revered. And I went there to learn and knowledge for the sake of knowledge, and of course to make a living. But that seems to have changed. And he goes on. 3, the career path for knowledge workers is breaking down, and many only have unpaid student loans to show for the years of training and preparation. Not long ago, students were told to, quote unquote, learn to code, write code. And the 3-letter phrase summed up the dominant worldview. Hard knowledge and technical skills were priceless. But now learn to code sounds like a joke. Knowledge workers are getting fired everywhere. Art history majors now have an easier time finding a job than computer engineers. Isn't that amazing? Now, that's only in the less than decade. 5 years ago, coders were still in high demand. I mean, this is a rapid shift. Many are in still denial. I really took the established knowledge system for granted. That idea could crumble.
Now, as far as coding and stuff like that, it could be part of it, just that there's more programs too that make coding easier. Like, I mean, it's kind of
AI,
not just that, just other programs which like making a website used to be complicated. Now you can just drag and paste.
True. Could be
your website and create a website like that.
Here's number 4. And this one's very dangerous. I mean, we became the great nation that we are because of our scientific advancements. And I mean, think of some great inventions. I mean, the flight, Wright brothers.
COVID is a great invention.
See, there you go. There you go.
Not a good one. Not a good one.
I mean, the fact that goes back to saying that was, I know you believe that it was invented by mankind, but that's not clear. That's not clear. I don't believe that is a proven fact.
I think that's a strong. They said it wasn't, and then I think I don't know if that's been concluded or not, but they definitely. I mean, once all the emails came out, they were lying about a number of things.
They were the Chinese or the Americans?
Or Fauci was lying about a number of things. It came out in the email when it released the emails.
Well, let's get through this. Fauci is Exhibit A, distrusted, and you can have different sides of that equation. But let's go further on this. He's just example of that, distrusting him.
Mm-hmm. And can hurt others that are plenty trustworthy. That happens. I mean, man, lying is such a common people come up with any little reason to lie a lot of times, and then that can hurt other people that are there's plenty of people that are trustworthy. Like
I don't subscribe to the fact that Fauci was deceiving. I mean, this may end this podcast, but I haven't seen any evidence.
You know about the email? Yeah, I'll have to show you the emails. I mean, there's definitely. I mean, there's a reason that he said that he can't be charged with anything at the end of his.
Okay, let's talk about that afterwards. Funding for science and tech research is disappearing in every sphere and sector, and without technology and research, and we will fall behind the rest of the world. Whole technology and science power structure requires research, and somebody must pay for it. But in very short order, major sources for funding are dried up. Meta is preparing for layoffs. Microsoft is getting rid of software jobs. Google is eliminating people. These jobs are being eliminated. And huge corporations fund their own research programs are now that used to fund their own research programs are investing in AI data centers. 5, universities have lost their prestige and have made enemies of their core constituencies. Tuition costs have skyrocketed. The value of degrees have plummeted. The leading universities have built up huge, stultifying bureaucracies and seem self-serving and disconnected from educational priorities. So they've done a lot of it to themselves. And there's less people that want to go to college because, as we discussed previously, it's not a guaranteed, it's kind of like a downhill spiral. It's not a guaranteed. It used to be you get a college degree. When I graduated, I had 13 job offers for my engineering degree. I could pick where I went to go. And they're all named, blue collar companies. And that's not the case today. This is a change in the knowledge system. Plagiarism getting exposed at all levels, from students to corporations and all the way to Harvard's president. Apparently, Harvard's president did plagiarism. 7, AI is imposed everywhere as a new expert system, but when it hallucinates and generates ridiculous responses.
Oh my gosh, that's been crazy. It's been making up stuff.
Yeah. The authorities take this for granted. I'm citing many abuses here, but the most alarming fact is that how the people are running the knowledge system complacently accept all the deceit, lies, and hallucinations. They do so without ethical qualms or even anxiety, and they never, ever apology. The public now smells the rot. They see that the people who control the knowledge system have been shamefully irresponsible. This creates a paradoxical situation in which the very speed and intensity with which new tech is implemented actually accelerates the collapse of the entire knowledge hierarchy. So, 8, science and technology are increasingly used to manipulate and exploit, not serve. People see actual degradation in every sphere of technology. Software upgrades that are so bad that users actually fear them. Have you ever been afraid of allowing your computer to update to the new latest? This is what it's talking about, because there's often so many holes and glitches in the updates that people are afraid of allowing them to be updated.
Mm-hmm.
Your phone update, search engines get worse every year. Social media becomes more psychologically manipulative and destructive. Active campaigns to limit smartphone use are now spreading in schools and communities. Surveillance increases and privacy erodes. Everyone now notices this, and how can you not notice it? Rely on the knowledge industries for many products and services, and the speed of degradation and deterioration has reached a crisis level.
We got room for 3 people in our bunker, no more than 3.
Scandals are number 9. Scandals are everywhere in the knowledge economy industry. For example, a few days ago, this cracks me up. We learned that a touted $1.5 billion AI company funded by Microsoft actually relied on 700 workers in India pretending to be chatbots.
Hello, are you? What are you Googling? Please spell it out.
It cracks me up. You got
and they're on Googling. They're just Googling.
And you gotta slowly pay the Indian and the other answering your query. The AI company didn't use AI. It was all a scam. Not long ago, that would have been a huge scandal, and Hollywood had made a movie about it. But nowadays, scams of this sort are just business as usual in the tech world. I regularly report on scandals at Spotify because he's a musician and he especially reports on music. That's how I found him. And other entertainment tech companies. But nobody is shocked anymore. They lost trust in knowledge tech industries long ago.
You know about Holmes, right? The one with did the testing that came up with the blood testing thing, and it was all fake.
Yeah. No, I heard. I don't know the name of them, but there was
her name was Holmes.
A DNA
Holmes,
that did that. Was it all fake? I know there was a big crisis.
Fake. It was completely fake. Yeah, it was. She claimed that you could just use one drop of blood and it could do all these different tests, and that's.
I mean, I know it went under, and I knew it was a woman, but that's as far as I went.
Maybe possible someday, but she had invented the technology. The technology didn't.
But 23andMe apparently works. Isn't that the one?
Or this is for blood.
Well, that's same DNA is in your blood.
Right.
Cheek swab, same difference.
DNA. This is like this is like testing for like sickness and stuff. I think that would be something different, right?
No,
Like,
if you I think.
but then
you
why
do the
does it
same.
take? They don't take a droplet of your blood. They take the saliva.
Well, it's easier than making you bleed, I suppose. I
Yeah.
don't think it was the fact that they were taking the blood. I think that she just didn't have the technology.
Right. You didn't have the technology.
But
yeah,
the
it didn't
drop
work.
of blood would work if you had the technology. You could either send a drop of some blood in, or
Or
you
you
could send
can't
your
you can't do so many tests with one drop of blood.
possibly.
You use yeah. That's there's no invention like that. They have to. That's why they take like a whole vial. Like they got to
For the
take
23andMe, they need a whole bunch.
no for the 23andMe the DNA thing that they just. But as far as like testing for a bunch of different sicknesses,
Yeah, but DNA would tell you what your sickness is.
I don't know. They don't have that on 23andMe. They don't tell you what your sicknesses are.
But I think it's the same type of technology. Maybe they don't offer that service. That's something we'll have to look into for
But
a
I mean,
future
it
podcast.
definitely doesn't. I mean, that technology doesn't exist as far as what she was trying to do. I mean, she's in jail now.
I'm not for sure that it doesn't exist. She didn't have it. I know she didn't have it. But they're doing tests now that can tell you if you have what chromosome you have. If you're there, that's very commonplace. You can do tests to see if you are inclined to get this disease or that disease. That's very.
But I mean,
commonplace.
there's a lot of the tests just target. It's a test for one thing or that thing. You know, I mean, like you have a bunch of different tests where her invention was supposed to do a bunch of tests at one time with one drop of blood, whereas like they need a whole vial of blood.
Possibly.
Vial.
Possibly. But the technology exists, but maybe not on just one drop, but it does exist to do those tests. What sample you need to do the tests, I don't know.
Right, but you can't do it with one drop of
Possibly.
blood.
Okay, that could be the point.
Yeah.
That could be the point. Yeah.
I mean, that's why she went to jail. Was the
well,
claim that
I thought she
it.
went to jail because she didn't have the technology, period. She couldn't do what she promised. Maybe we're saying
Right.
the same thing, just differently. I don't know.
Yeah, the technology doesn't exist. I mean, that
The technology doesn't exist
For
to
one
do
drop
it
of
with
blood.
one blood.
One drop
Okay,
of
that's
blood.
possible. Yeah. We hear constant bickering about fake science from all political and ideological stances. Nobody talks about true science. Have you heard the complaints about fake science? This is what he talks about. This phrase is everywhere. This is a measure of its use in print, and this didn't print off. But apparently, the term fake science is something that is Googled a lot. And both parties, Democrats and Republicans, are accusing each other of using fake science. But if you can see from the chart, well, I don't have the chart in front of me, but fake science hardly existed during the 20th century. So it wasn't until 2000 that the term fake science got Googled a lot. So this is a recent 25-year phenomena that people are concerned about fake science. I mean, that's what I was talking about when I was in college, which was in the 1900s. You know, science was science, and it was like a religion. It was sacred. If you did science, you made sure that it was proper. Now, one of the first fake science things that I can remember was, this would have been in the 80s, maybe, when the guy claimed that he invented fusion in a jar. Remember that? You were too young. But the guy, fusion it's like a perpetual motion machine where you can create energy from nothing. It would be perpetual motion, perpetual energy machine. And the guy claimed that he could do fusion in a jar. And it was a complete fabrication. And that was big news. They were reporting about that forever. Those of you that were around at that time probably remember fusion in a jar controversy. We were all disappointed because I thought it was a big breakthrough. That's commonplace today. Fake science is just commonplace. And what he's saying is, in those days, which I would agree, science was considered emblematic of truth. If it was fake, it wasn't science. If it was fake, it wasn't science. So fake science is really an oxymoron. But today, fake science is a very oft Googled term because there's a lot of untrue science. But when the knowledge structure collapses, which as Ted is saying is happening, science loses its privileged access to truth. At the final stages, it gets harder to distinguish science from propaganda. We are now living in that scenario. And so he goes on to wrap it up. And so I don't think we can deny, I mean, wherever we stand on who's at fault, but knowledge we're in a different system today. And what does that mean for the future? I don't know. He's thinking that it might be returned to a romantic period, where romantic period was where all the arts were highly regarded, paintings and music, etc. This is what but he will face. Science and tech will not disappear, but they will face an intense backlash beyond anything we've experienced. I'm not saying you can replace tech with a poem or a symphony, but tech now desperately needs what can only be provided by the humanities and human values. So anyway, that's his opinion. This is one guy's opinion. But here's a part that, here's some comments. We're facing a major crisis of trust because so much of our work and creativity will be the product of AI. I read an article the other day that said in 2 years, this person's opinion, 90% of the social media posts will be AI generated. People doing videos. I mean, I do a vertical video every day. Film it, cut it up, put lyrics on it if it's a song. And this guy's theory is that in 2 years, that'll all be AI. Nobody, and now there is AI being generated now. You can see it. I mean, and in this article, Ted said, now I see, or no, maybe it was Tom that said, now I see a video and it's either an awkward human or is it, subpar AI. In 2 years, that will not be subpar. And then there's some great AI. There's a guy, there's like I keep seeing these, what's the Bigfoot character, and he's doing things that human people do. He's living, he accidentally ate a mushroom and he's tripping in the forest and, normal voice. And
the baby AIs are hilarious.
Baby AIs, the AI have come so far, and how far can that take us? And so that's a major crisis of trust. And then here's one that bothers me. This comment said, these points apply almost exclusively to America. The opposite, upticks in education, reading, thinking, understanding, public discourse, science can be observed today on clear display in Canada and China, and as well as Taiwan, Iceland, Finland, Denmark, New Zealand, Mongolia, Ecuador, Slovenia, Norway, Portugal, Lithuania, Estonia, and the Czech Republic. So if we're the only ones failing this knowledge crisis, and we fall behind in the technology race, our standing in the world will plummet, and that's concerning. Dark Corner.
Welcome to Dark Corner.
All right, funniest man. Let's lighten it up.
Let's pause for brain malfunctioning. AI malfunction.
What shows have you been recently watching?
Okay. What shows have I been watching? I just watched The Accountant 2 the other day. That was all right. Which shows,
The Order. You watched The Order.
The Order.
Did you finish that?
I did. It was really good, based on a true story of in the early 80s. It was what was it?
White extremist in
White
the
extremist
Northwest.
group. Yeah, they were robbing banks, trying to,
and they assassinated
somebody,
a liberal Jewish radio commentator. Just gunned him down as he was coming home from work. That's a true story.
And it was them taking them down. There was one particular leader that they ended up taking down, and it was based on a true story. And they literally the building kind of caught fire when they were trying to smoke him out, and he went down in a failed I mean, he didn't give up. He didn't give up. He just tried to shoot his way out, or but he was stuck in there. And yeah, I think it happened like in a smaller community or something. I can't remember where it was, but I like those true stories that you get see the bad guys getting taken down. And it was the interesting too. They were following along the steps of this book, which was interesting. I watched some supposedly, like, there's been a number of people that have taken the blueprints of this book that's just so evil and followed the steps to commit crimes, and followed this blueprint, which is messed up. So I guess that's probably on FBI. They'll get notified if you purchase that on Amazon. Because yeah, a lot of crimes have been committed that you see how far we've come, but still there's still there's issues. And I mean, that was in the past, but there's still people that struggle and have hatred. I mean, goodness, like, it just comes a lot to do with hatred for some reason or another. I mean, goodness, I mean, let's just all love. Let's all just hold hands and love each other, But yeah.
Well, there's we as a country, we're probably more divided than we've been in a long time. So
yeah,
right now, I mean, politically divided, ideologically divided. So it's not a good situation. Still dark corner, I guess.
Yeah, it's I mean, we kind of done with the whole, we got a bunch of people that were in here. The latest thing has been the clash with in California. You have with people being here illegally, and so of course you've already established a family and everything here, and then you're getting kicked out of the country, and which is I have mixed feelings on it sometimes. It's like, oh, coming to our country, but I mean, I'm a big believer in doing it legally, but I mean, some people that have already been here so long, and the people, at times it's been kind of easily just to walk across the border, and then to be here for 10 years or whatever, and then get kicked out. I can imagine, and what would I would do in that predicament if I saw the U.S., just a few hundred miles away, and life is so much better there. Would I do the same thing? So I don't blame a lot of decisions. I definitely believe that it's definitely illegal, no matter what some people are trying to say, that it's not illegal across the border. It is definitely illegal across the border. But I mean, would I do the same thing if I was in their position? Yeah. But yeah, so just be praying for California. Hopefully they can quickly, I mean, it starts peacefully, and now there's vehicles on fire and buildings being set on fire, and violence is never a solution. Burning down businesses isn't gonna make anything better. And once again, that weird, I don't want to mention it. It's just a weird situation where, anyways, pray for the people of California, that everything calms down there, and that we can hopefully, I would love to see it a little bit easier for people to get become American. We still got plenty of space. There's plenty of states that have plenty of room. It's interesting. The majority of all the population lives around the big cities. They say 98% of all population, or 95, somewhere around there, live within like 20 miles of a big cities, and you got all these rural areas that, I mean, we are not suffering from a populated issue here. In some countries, the big issue now is like Italy. Their birth is going down. I don't think we're doing too well. I think
without immigration, our population will decrease.
so.
Without immigration, our population will decrease.
So let's
a decreasing population is like a boat anchor on your economy growth, because if population goes down, the growth, your economy will decrease.
So yeah.
So
let's be smart about it, and if we're going to tighten the reins on the borders, let's process a lot of those applications for people to become members a lot quicker, too. But help everybody go out and have a baby, help contribute to the population in your country.
Yeah, South Korea has the lowest birth rate of 0.75 per adult female, and you need 2.1 to maintain the population.
So what will that take? Like 150 years to like completely? I mean, if you were
there's a forecast. I don't think even it's 100 years they will. And Japan is a little over 1. I think Japan's 1.2. But Japan and Korea, unfortunately, or they also have, Japan has the longest life expectancy of any country. So you combine a shrinking birth rate with people living longer, you got a top-heavy country if you top being aged. And suddenly you eventually get to the point where one worker is supporting 3 retired people. And supporting as in, they're not producing anything, they're retired, and they're getting Social Security or whatever, and they're consuming because they're still living, and they're living somewhere, and they have medical care, but they're not producing because they're retired. And that's a burden that is really very hard to sustain. And South Korea is seeing that now. And that's what happened. Italy has a problem. They have a low birth rate. They will disappear as a country. I mean, most developed countries, the only countries that are having lots of kids are poorer countries. Nigeria, although Nigeria is rich with many resources, but there are some forecasts by 2100, Nigeria could be the largest, most populous country in the world, more populous than China. I mean, India has already taken over. China is no longer the most populous country in the world. It's India.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
And China's got a problem in that regard as well, because they only had the one-child policy for many, many decades. So
yeah, they ended up hurting them in the long run.
Their population is going to fall off a cliff, and their age, the average age is accelerating by a very large. I saw a study that gave a 50-year forecast from 2020 to 2070, and of course now it's 5 years old, and it had China having by far the highest average age, the highest average age. China just jumped way up, like for 15 years. Like if the average age was 30, became 45. I don't remember the exact numbers, but it jumped by 15 years. They suddenly aging. And the saying was China's going to get old before they get rich. I mean, China is, there are many billionaires there, but the average income is very low. The Chinese people are poor. That's why there's still a lot of manufacturing there. So Chinese people in general are not rich by any stretch of the imagination. So the saying is they're going to get old before they get rich. That's one saying that I've heard. Who knows? Who knows what'll happen? But yeah, they say that, demographics is destiny. That's the saying. So demographics meaning your makeup of your population. And if you have a low birth rate and your population shrinks, that's a real challenge to have a growing economy or even a stable economy if you have a lower shrinking population. So
another very exciting thing to think about.
No comedy in this podcast.
We'll call this podcast Debbie Downer. I think that will work. I like it. Debbie Downer.
Debbie Downer podcast.
We're not being the downers. We're just sharing the information.
Yeah, right.
Guys, we appreciate you watching the podcast. Hopefully you didn't get too depressed during that podcast. I'm pretty sure we can come up with something more depressing to talk about next time. No, just kidding. I mean, that's things happen, but we are very blessed. We are very happy to live in the country where we are. I think definitely here in Nashville feel very blessed. But anyways, guys, we'll see you next time. Please subscribe, and if you're on Facebook, please share the podcast so we can get it out to more people. And guys, we will see you next time. Bye.